liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go ahead and call roll call.
Give me just 1 second, please.
We're making sure we're on YouTube.
Making sure we're live.
Yep.
We are good. All righty. Tim Bean.
Here.
Bruce Angel.
Here.
Yvonne Van Ornum.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Jan Berg.
Here.
Okay. We're all in.
Righty. Thank you very much. And looks like at this point, we want to do approve the agenda. So Chair,
Approve the agenda.
go ahead, Bruce. Could you repeat that for us, Bruce?
Move to approve the agenda.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Items on our workshop. This will be no final action will be taken during this time. Item number 1 would be the Arlington School District 16 Capital Facility Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first 2 items on the agenda tonight are the capital facilities plan updates for both Lakewood School District and the Arlington School District. And so Denise Steffarm is the attorney for both districts, and she will give you a brief overview. And then if you have questions pertinent to either one of the districts, either for Lakewood, it will be Dale Leach, and for Arlington School District, it will be Brian Lewis to be able to field those questions. So with that, Denise, we'll let you begin.
And
Sure.
If there's any specific page you'd like me to turn to, just let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you. So thanks again for having us on your meeting agenda this evening. And again, I'm Denise Steffarm with Pacifica Law Group, and I work with both of the school districts, among other school districts in Snohomish County, on the update to their capital facilities plans and school impact fee matters. And this is the every 2 years, the school districts in Snohomish County update their 6-year capital facilities plans and then request that Snohomish County and the cities that they serve adopt the capital facilities plan by reference in their respective comprehensive plans and update school impact fees. And this is the year that we do that. And so we are here before you tonight with this proposal. Just to kind of briefly give you an overview, I know that you're familiar with comprehensive plan and capital planning. And for the school districts, it's a very similar process in terms of what they look at in their facilities plans. The capital facilities plans provide a 6-year planning window where the district looks at their existing facilities, including condition and capacity. They identify their expected enrollment for the 6-year planning period. And then they identify, based upon comparing their existing capacity to enrollment, whether they have any growth-related capacity needs. And both of the districts that you'll hear from tonight do have growth-related capacity needs. And in that case, the districts identify growth-related capacity projects that they are planning within the next 6 years to serve those student enrollment needs from the new growth. There's a financing plan included for those growth-related capacity needs, and then also impact fee calculations that are based upon the parameters of state law for identifying a per dwelling unit impact for new residential development. There's a fee for single family development, and then there's a separate fee for multifamily. And the multifamily fee has 2 different categories, one for small 1-bedroom or less units, and one for 2-bedroom or more units. And the district's analysis includes the most recent window of new development, the last 5 years, and on average, how many new students are being generated from new homes built within the district. So that's the big picture overview. Brian Lewis from Arlington School District is here, and Dale Leach from Lakewood School District. And each of them, I think, are prepared to provide a little bit more in terms of what's going on with their capital facilities plans this year. So I'm going to stop now. If you have questions for me, please let me know that. Otherwise, I'll turn next to Brian to talk about his capital facilities plan.
Thank you, Denise. As you may be aware, we ran a capital levy to the voters in February, as well as a bond proposal to replace Post Middle School. The bond proposal was not successful. We did not reach the 60% approval required for bond passage. We were successful with the capital levy. And that's relevant here in that the projects that are mentioned on page 16 of the draft plan include addition of classrooms to Arlington High School, and we're positioned to finance those additions to Arlington High School via the funding provided by the capital levy. We're certainly appreciative of that. We still have projects that we will need to address in the future, including the replacement of Post Middle School. That is related to student growth as well. And among other issues, there are many issues with Post Middle School that it's not an adequate educational facility for us any longer. The other issue that we're facing is some significant growth at the elementary level. We are planning to address that in the interim via addition of portables or relocatables, although in my experience, once a portable building is placed, it's not relocated until it's hauled off to the scrapyard because they become permanent facilities. But we have growth at the elementary level that we're meeting at this point in time with portable facilities. That relies on the core facilities of a building, like the library, the common areas like the library, the food service area, gymnasiums, playgrounds, parking areas, all be of sufficient size to support student growth. And many of our elementary buildings are landlocked. We cannot make the libraries bigger or the multi-purpose rooms bigger. So our response to that is to add portable or relocatable buildings. We're preparing for that right now via a feasibility study where we would replace portables throughout the district with the ultimate goal of building a new elementary school. Once we reach a critical mass of elementary school or portables, we've determined that that's going to be another 20 portables, or excuse me, a total of 20 portables that would substantiate the population of an elementary school building. You can see through our relocatable inventory, and I apologize, I don't have that page number at my fingertips, but we've got 6 right now. So we've got 14 more portable buildings to go. Given the projects that are that the Planning Commission has considered, including the addition of multifamily housing at 51st Street Northeast, the proposed project on 204th, the proposed, or excuse me, I believe they're under construction right now, the Country Charm Dairy townhomes. All of these residential additions are going to impact our ability to house students. We've got our high school problem resolved for a period of time, and we're looking for opportunities here to gain some funding to help us respond to the growth that's occurring in the community. Be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
I have one. I can't recall, but were you using any of the mitigation fees for relocatable units? I thought I read something that you weren't doing that.
No, we certainly did use about $200,000 of mitigation fees that we had collected in the prior iteration. I believe it was in 2010. And we did acquire 4 portable buildings at 4 portable classrooms, 2 buildings at Kent Prairie Elementary. We're while we were in the process of siting those portables there, we left some capacity for electricity to add 2 more portable buildings at that site. There's a project that's proposed right now, a building project. I believe it's off of 204th. That's going to add 192 residences within the Kent Prairie Elementary boundaries. So we're hoping that addition of 4 more classrooms at Kent Prairie Elementary will give us, a stopgap solution to providing housing until we reach that critical mass of 20 more portables across the building, or excuse me, across the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think if there's no further questions right now, and of course, we're always happy to answer questions as I come up along the way if you think of something. But at this point, I think I'll ask Dale to talk about the Lakewood School District Capital Facilities Plan.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, the Planning Commission, for providing this opportunity for us to talk about the Lakewood School District. We're in, as you know, a unique geographical area where we have part of our school district is in Snohomish County, part is in the city of Marysville, and part of our district is in the city of Arlington. And so this is my first opportunity to present our capital facilities plan, and I will get that opportunity 2 more times as Denise and I schedule them with the other municipalities. The Lakewood School District has experienced pretty steady growth since about 2012. We had a decline in enrollment from about 2008 to 2010. We leveled off for a couple of years, and we've been growing pretty steadily at about 16%. And we this year commissioned a company called Flow Analytics to really do a deep dive into what our growth and capacity might be for the purposes of our own planning, as well as for this particular document. And they project that we're going to grow at an almost 15% rate to 2025. Of course, this is pre-COVID numbers. It's very fluid, as I know you know, about when certain things will happen, and we know that there are some challenges right now with building in Lakewood, but we also know that growth could occur, and 15% seems to be a very reasonable number for us. In 2017, we opened up Lakewood High School, and I'm happy to say that in March of 2020, we finally accepted the final building and have all the work done, and that added capacity for us at the high school, and we still have a couple of classroom capacity at the high school. This year, we completed a STEM lab at our middle school. We actually moved our facilities and maintenance operation out of its 30-year place of business operation next to the middle school, and we're looking at building a new transportation, facilities, and technology hub by expanding an existing building. And so we've created 2 more classrooms at the middle school, which are full. Our middle school, even with those 2 classrooms, is at capacity at this time. We do have a couple of empty classrooms at English Crossing Elementary School, and we're hoping to get a few more when we relocate technology, because technology is taking up a couple of portables. But we relocated 4 portables from Lakewood High School up to Cougar Creek Elementary 4 years ago, and that building is at capacity, including those portables. And so we are, except for about 5 or maybe 6 classrooms, at full capacity in our district. And the reason I'm really familiar with these numbers is I've been walking the social distancing line, trying to figure out how many kids we can fit in the classroom, what classrooms are available, what's our we're calling it COVID capacity in the district. And so we are just about full at the elementary level, which is where we're anticipating most of our growth to be. And we will, we're at capacity. We're going to need to look at expanding the middle school. We've actually discussed taking one of our elementary schools, Cougar Creek, and turning that into a middle school, because that's our biggest footprint of land that we could expand. We have, and then creating a complete elementary row on 16th. But we are at the point now where we are at capacity, and we're going to need to we're going to need to find space somewhere. This year, for the first time, we do have multi-family 1-bedrooms or studio apartments in our district, and so that's not been available for an impact fee before, but it is now. So we're basically looking at this for capacity at K8, and just kind of crossing our fingers that we can manage the growth as it comes.
Great, thank you, Dale. Any questions from commission?
I have one. I was just wondering, when we state, or when you're stating that we're at capacity, does that also mean that do we still allow for out of district students to come in?
So thank you for that question. We are at this time still accepting out of district students. About 15% of our students in the district are out of district students. The state laws make it very difficult to deny out of district transfers for any reason other than capacity. And our lawyers have interpreted that as long as we have an open classroom in our district, that we would need to accept out of district students. We have, starting last spring, we started to deny students that were coming to us with existing individual education plans, because the number of students we have in our district on IEPs exceeded the state allocation by about 3%. And so we were able to determine that was at capacity. So we are trying to determine with our attorneys what capacity means, but they have been very liberally interpreting the state law. So thank you for that question. I'm not sure that's a great answer, but it's the best one I got for you right now.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the commissioners?
I was just wondering, I'm not 100% sure of the Arlington boundaries for the Lakewood School District. If we could go to page 3 and kind of just show the part of the district that's in Arlington. I'm kind of assuming, but.
Jan, the Lakewood district, it's primarily from Smoky Point Smoky Point Boulevard west to I-5 that lies within the boundaries of the city of Arlington.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? No, sounds like we are.
Well, I have one. This is Mike. So I'm looking at that map. Isn't that orange line? Isn't that the indication of what is the map, or is that the district? I mean,
That's the
3?
Lakewood School District.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay.
They jog out beyond Smoky Point Boulevard. Or 40th.
It's a residential neighborhood there that it extends into a little bit.
We go up to 188th
Yep.
east of I-5. The Housing Hope that's in that area is in our school district. We kind of, I think we go to the Walmart, 47th, Brian, and that neighborhood behind there as well is in our school district?
Country Manor. Yep.
Right. All right, thank you very much. Any further questions before we move on to our next item on our agenda? On behalf of the commission, I want to thank all of you for being here with us today and filling us in on what we need to know moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you. And Denise, I'll be in contact with you about the public hearing date in coordination with the budget process.
Great,
Sorry,
great.
I do have one more question. Sorry, before we let them go. It just occurred to me, when we're talking about the bonds and if we may have another one, as a planning commission, how do we help, or what could we do? What are we allowed to do to educate the public on what that, I know you guys did a great, I mean, I'm in the Arlington School District, my kids are in school, so something that we can do too, that we can help with if it happens to get back on the ballot again?
I don't, go ahead, Denise.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's probably best for us to defer to the city and its legal counsel to advise on that one. We certainly appreciate the inquiry, though.
All right, thank you very much. Any further questions before we move on to item number 3? Okay. Item number 3 will be PLN number 721, which is the National Foods rezone.
All right, so the applicant, Panettone Development, is submitting a rezone for a non-project action that is located between the 4,400 and 5,100 blocks of 172nd Street Northeast. The project seeks to make amendments to the City of Arlington Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map and Zoning Map to rezone approximately 75.72 acres of highway commercial with a mixed-use overlay and redesignate it to light industrial. The non-project action allows for future development of the property, which proposes to include $230 million in capital improvements, as well as creating 1,600 new employment opportunities. The rezone is submitted under RCW 3670A.130 subsection 2, an emergency rezone due to the unforeseen shutdown of the economy caused by the coronavirus and due to an immediate non-speculative opportunity within the Cascade Industrial Center. And in addition to that, the plan supplements the comprehensive plan through planning goals PE 1.2, GL 1.1B, PL 3.1, PL 5.3, GL 12, PL 12.1, PL 12.4, PL 12.8, PL 15.5, as well as the Cascade Industrial Center subarea goals LU1, LU3, LU5, ED1, and ED5. Essentially, these I will go a quick general overview about all these comprehensive plans real quick, so you can have a general idea of what comprehensive goals they include. This GL1 is to ensure the growth management is in accordance with the UGA, the Urban Growth Act, and then the PL 3.1, the city should coordinate growth and development with adjacent jurisdictions to promote and protect interjurisdictional interests. In this case, it would be in close proximity with the city of Marysville due to our interjurisdictional Cascade Industrial Center. The city will promote, the industrial center, as well as create a sufficient land base in order to support a high ratio of jobs to households. Industrial land uses shall be located in the vicinity of the airport. Industries with high job numbers that support local resource needs should be encouraged. The city should ensure that at least 80% of the property within the Cascade Industrial Center is planned and zoned for industrial and manufacturing uses. As this is a predominant location for future employment within the city of Arlington, the city should seek appropriate designation in accordance with the sub-area plan and PSRC. The Cascade Industrial Center goals include the Cascade Industrial maintains a sufficient amount of industrial lands to support the high ratio of jobs to households. Future development in the Arlington portion of the CIC complements the existing character and development patterns of Arlington. The CIC is consistent with regional planning policies. Investments in infrastructure and amenities create, retain, grow, and attract businesses important to the city of Arlington and Snohomish County's long-term economic health. And the Cascade Industrial Center benefits from a business climate that encourages developments and provides clarity and certainty to developers and property owners. Essentially, based off of the precedent established in State X re Gray versus Martin, the definition of a emergency that applies that to the this case would be that a unforeseen situation such as the pandemic was emerged, and with the impacts of the state of emergencies declared by Governor Inslee on February 29th, Mayor Talbot on March 5th, 2020, and then by President Trump on March 13th, 2020. These are all still in effect as of right now. And RCW 38.52070 authorizes the city to exercise the powers vested under this section in the light of the exigencies of an extreme emergency situation without regard to the time-consuming procedures and formalities prescribed by law. In addition to this, the National Bureau of Economic Research has determined that in addition to the Washington State Economic and Revenues Forecast Council, that we have entered a recession. The existing housing to jobs imbalance in Snohomish County has resulted in Snohomish County having one of the highest rates of unemployment in the state. Passing of the resolution of this rezone will allow for the expected capital investment in the city of Arlington, which will contribute the creation of 1,600 new local jobs, which will help to improve the employment figures and support long-term economic recovery and bolster the area's housing to job ratio. By taking this action now, the city council will be acting to remedy the local impacts for both the reception and the pandemic, supporting the economic benefit that will create real estate exercise taxes upon the sales of the property, generate application mitigation utility connection fees, generate local sales tax on construction materials and labor, lead to an increase in future utility tax revenues, support retailers and restaurants near the project, which will benefit from the presence of construction workers, support the construction industry, which was one of the hardest hit, and support the creation of 1,600 new jobs, which will improve the employment figures, support long-term economic recovery, and bolster the area's jobs to housing analysis, or benefits, balance, sorry. With this, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve and adopt the rezoning of tax parcels 310528001004, 31052800100500, 31052800100100, 3105280013100300, and finally 31052800101300 from highway commercial with a mixed use overlay to light industrial.
All right, thank you, Josh. At this time, I'd like to go back to our usual meeting format. And what that is that we'll go around and see if each one of the commissioners has any questions or comments. At this time, I'd like to start with Jen. Do you have any questions or comments?
Not at this point.
Okay. Yvonne, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
When they were mentioning this, I didn't really see it in here, but I'm just wondering when they said the 1,600 jobs and creating the 1,600 jobs, were they just trying to account? Was it just accounting like the construction and then the employees and then stuff like that, or were they saying the 1,600 as in when the building opens and the business is open, and would it happen in waves?
Oh, so that will be the static number of employees associated with this proposed development.
So the contractors and all of that would be part of that number.
Oh, that's outside. That will be the static number once the business is in operation. So you'll have 1,600 employees employed at this facility.
Okay.
So as construction occurs, you'll have probably 3 times that amount with construction activity, suppliers, contractors, all of that. So it will be a huge boost to the economy during the construction period.
And then when we have these kinds of numbers coming through, do we also plan or talk, or how does like public transportation get involved, and when do they get involved to start helping with something with all?
So this is just for a rezone of the property, simply because this is highway commercial currently. There cannot be a manufacturing industrial use on that property until after the rezone takes place. Once the rezone is done, then we'll come back. There'll be a project that's proposed, and we will go through the whole process and address all of those items at that point in time. But this is a non-project action at this time.
Thank you.
Could I jump in? I'm sorry, with a question related to that?
Certainly.
So changing it from highway commercial with mixed to light industrial, do we know what the transportation effect between those two normally are? Does that make sense? Is there more?
Yeah, there's really no way to put a number to that, Jan, unless we knew what the projects were that would be either when it was as zoned as highway commercial. If you had retail commercial uses on there, it would be a lower job number than if you have a manufacturing industrial use on the property.
Yeah, I was thinking more trips. It seems to me there would be more trips and more transportation if it was retail versus employment.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So you would spread that out over an all day periods because you would have traffic in and out of there. Whereas if you have one facility, your traffic is during those peak hours of when that traffic is being generated from the use.
Okay.
So it's much more predictable that way.
Yeah, and just intuitively, it seems like if it was stayed the highway commercial, there'd be more trips generated rather than an employment base.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. And if no further, then let's go to Mike. Do you have any questions or comments on this, Mike?
Yeah, but I'll limit. So I know because we did a lot of work on this for the highway commercial and mixed use overlay. And so now that it's going to go to light industrial, I was wondering if there was a possibility, because I don't remember offhand, if there was any way to incorporate some of the highway commercial parts of it, like so that there could be restaurants like on corners or something that could also attract people into there other than just an industrial park.
So a couple of items, Mike, is this. One is that we're required by Puget Sound Regional Council, because of the Cascade Industrial Center, that we can have no less than 80% of the land in the CIC be designated as manufacturing industrial.
Okay.
That being said, with the Woodmansey project being adjacent to this to the south, we will be providing for all of those services and the opportunity for retail to be there, as well as the rezone that we're bringing forward for the business park across the street to the north. So all of that will be allowable commercial out along 172nd in order to service this facility also.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I just wanted to hear it. So,
yeah,
right.
No, good question.
Okay, if Mike's all finished, then we'll move on to Bruce. Did you have any questions or comments, Bruce?
Yeah, a couple. We covered this in an earlier meeting, but is it possible that construction, given that this makes it through the approval process, that construction could start prior to year end?
Probably not. I mean, we're already halfway through our construction season. There's quite a bit of land use that has to occur with this to move forward. I wouldn't see anything occurring here until probably mid 2020 or 2021.
Oh,
at the earliest, so.
almost a year away.
Yeah, there's just a lot of work to be done. They may come in and do grading, filling of the site in order to get that up and ready, but you know, that site's got to be filled to be above the groundwater in that location. So there's a lot of preemptive work that has to occur first.
Is there any wetland or, I can't remember whether there's wetland mitigation to be done there?
There is a wetland at the far southwest corner there.
Right.
So that, yeah, right there where the cursor's at, correct. So that's part of the roadway alignment also for 168. And so the city will have to work in conjunction with the developer in order to mitigate for that.
And I'm assuming that with the combination of these, basically 3 rezones, that planning will start, in addition to what we've already started, in terms of a back grid for roads to get traffic off of 170.
Correct.
Commercial traffic anyway.
That's the 168th, 169th alignment, which will connect 51st to Smoky Point Boulevard. Yes, yeah. And eventually that will run all the way through across the airport heading east and then connect again at 59th. With a proposed future connection out to 172nd on the 63rd alignment.
So I'm also assuming that the rezone to light industrial is an extension of our responsibility to PSRC to make the land in the CIC industrial.
Correct.
Because we had some of those questions before that if it's designated highway commercial, that's pretty broad in terms of the commitment.
Well, the commitment was for job creation and available land for manufacturing industrial facilities to locate. So that's why the criteria is no less than 80% of it being designated as manufacturing industrial.
But we're still allowed 20% within that for other things.
Right, but that's spread across both jurisdictions, both Arlington and Marysville.
But that's restaurant, retail.
Right. Yep. Ancillary services, all of that, so.
Because I guess what I was looking at is based on economic projections for the rest of the year, for at least national projections, is that things are going to get a little dicey toward the end of the year, it looks like. And some of this I was looking at as perhaps a bridge for the city in terms of maintaining service levels.
Oh, certainly. Yes, yeah. I mean, this is a huge shot to the arm here. And you have to realize the way this works is that you'll have permit fees coming in for the land use itself, which will take you through the end of the year into next year. And then, you know, you'll start to generate building permit fees after that. So that'll be applicable to both of these rezones coming up, the emergency rezones, as well as the proposed rezone for the business park. So there's 3 buildings being planned there, 2 along Airport Boulevard, smart cap buildings, and then the DSHS building, which will be along 43rd Avenue. So they're all contingent upon that rezone.
That was everything, Bruce?
Yep.
So, and my question was similar to what Mike and Bruce had asked about. As they ramp up and build this out, that, you know, the stress that we already have on some of the facilities that are there for employees is already, it's pretty high right now. So my concern is that eventually there will be some, you know, opportunities for, you know, places like restaurants and so on. What you call ancillary businesses, is that what we said?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually this works really well with our plan of the area, which is, you know, with the urban village going in adjacent to this, that's exactly why that is being constructed to serve businesses within the CIC. And so within that, you'll have the workforce housing that's being constructed. as well as the support services and, restaurants, grocery store, services like, you could have a optometrist in there. You could have all of those type of services, maybe a small clinic in that also. But that serves that whole area and makes that a walkable community for the manufacturing industrial center.
Okay. Thank you very much. Before we move on to the next item, are there any more questions?
No.
Okay. Then we will move on to item number 4, which is PLN number 729 North Point Development Rezone.
Yeah, so the applicant, North Point Development LLC, is submitting a rezone for a non-project action that is located at 6,600 172nd Street Northeast. The proposal seeks to make amendments to the City of Arlington Comprehensive Plan future land use map and zoning map to rezone approximately 39.2 acres of a 87.7 acre parcel that is currently split zoned general commercial with a mixed use overlay and light industrial, and to redesignate it to a pure light industrial parcel. This non-project action allows for future development and employment opportunities within the Cascade Industrial Center, which also requires the relocation and restoration of Edgecombe Creek. The plan is submitted also under RCW 36.70A 130 subsection 2, and an emergency rezone due to unforeseen shutdown of the economy caused by the coronavirus, and to allow for the developer to work with multiple local jurisdictions in order to coordinate the relocation and rehabilitation of Edgecombe Creek within the Cascade Industrial Center. The project is going to make a approval by the City Council, will require all rezones to make amendments to the comprehensive land use map and city official city zoning map. Let's see. And then again, these goals are consistent with the previously mentioned rezone, similar all of the comprehensive goals as well. So instead of reading through those, I'll go quickly and then say that the parcel 31052700100100 is being, the staff recommends that the Arlington Planning Commission make a recommendation to City Council to approve and adopt the rezoning from general commercial with a mixed-use overlay to light industrial.
All right, thank you, Josh. Again, let's go ahead and go through everyone with questions or comments. Again, I'd like to start with you, Jan, if you have any questions or comments.
I do not.
Okay. Yvonne, did you have any questions or comments about this one?
Yes, kind of. To find out more, to understand it better, but are there different restrictions in general commercial versus light industrial that make it easier to build something with the railroad tracks right there? Like I know with airports, you can only be so high within a certain area, but is there something like that with even with the railroad tracks too?
Are you talking about physical dimensions of a building, Yvonne?
Or any kind of building, like if we went from general commercial to light industrial, would it make it easier to, like, because a different rule applies when you're next to the airport or the railroad tracks?
No, the height is what it is, whether it's a industrial building or a commercial building.
Okay, and that doesn't matter with the zoning, it's just the building itself and the occupancy, right?
Well, the zoning dictates what that height is, correct? And what that use is. But the height between the two different types of building you're talking about wouldn't matter.
Okay.
So in that area, I think it's a 50-foot height maximum. So if it was a commercial building that wanted to go 50 feet high, it would be allowable. Most buildings in the manufacturing industrial area are somewhere between 28 to 35 to 40 feet, depending on how many stories, whether they have a mezzanine or not. So average tilt up is probably a 35-foot roof height.
Thank you. I was just curious.
All right, thank you, Yvonne. Let's move on. Mike, did you have any questions or comments?
No, it's basically the same as the other than this is in an intersection more. So, no, I'm okay.
All right, thank you, Mike. And then let's move on to you, Bruce. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I could, for those of us whose memory isn't as good as it used to be, would it be possible for staff to explain the difference between normal and emergency processes for rezone?
The difference between it?
Yeah,
You
description.
mean what's it predicated on?
Yeah, well,
So-
partly that, but that's pretty well explained already, but how does the process differ? That is, what comes first? What's the difference in commerce notification and all that stuff? Public hearings before and after.
Right, so what happens is we still have to meet all of that criteria. The difference is that this is outside of our typical comp plan amendment process, so it was not included in the annual docket process. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to hear it. So if it's an emergency rezone predicated on, what's been described in their application, then it can be heard outside of the docket process.
Okay, because we've had other emergency actions where it's actually put in effect without a public hearing, with the requirement that a public hearing happen within 60 days.
Well,
Perhaps that's a land use.
this will happen within 60 days, so I'm not really clear of the reference you're making, so.
Okay, in other situations that have been emergency,
talking
commissioners.
like
or
a
council-
moratorium?
Hmm?
I'm sorry, like a moratorium?
No, I'm
Hmm.
thinking more of land use actions, and perhaps it's just my memory, that planning commission recommends, council approves, and then within 60 days, there has to be a public hearing if the land use action was, or like a moratorium, if the land use action was in fact an emergency with timing restrictions, and I believe.
So is it a
we've done
timing
that.
requirement from an RCW, you mean?
Hmm.
It must be from an RCW because it's not in our
I'll
land
have
use.
to do my own research, but
Yeah.
I remember that situation was a little different than this one because those weren't comprehensive plan actions, they were land use actions.
Mhm.
And the sequence of events was different.
I think you're talking about a moratorium,
Perhaps it's only a moratorium I'm talking about.
correct?
It is that.
Yes,
But I
and I
thought-
do remember that. That was part of the I-502 issue.
Yeah,
So we had a moratorium on that because we wanted to wait and see how that industry was affecting our
oh, right, yeah.
industrial lands. Correct.
Well, we've had more than one moratorium, but yeah,
Yeah, right, but that was the most recent, I think that's what he was referring to, Mike.
That's very possible.
yes, probably.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't have any questions or comments, so I am good on that. So if there's no further questions or comments, we can move on to item number 5, which is the upcoming public hearing docket.
Yes, thank you. So think back about almost 4 months now. We were on the fast track to getting our docket through our process. So the docket was adopted, and now we had to set up for the public hearings for each one of the docket items. Pandemic hits, we can't have any public hearings. And so we've been kind of in a state of limbo here. We finally have gotten a release to have public hearings again via Zoom or some virtual platform. And so we're going to move forward now with our public hearing process. So the first thing before I dive into this is that what I'm asking Planning Commission to do for the month of August is to meet and hold a Planning Commission meeting on each of the Tuesdays throughout the month of August. So that would be tonight, of course, the 11th, the 18th, the 25th, and then September 1st. I know it's asking a lot, but we definitely want to take advantage of this time slot we have before we go in reverse if the numbers start to rise again for COVID. Because what'll happen is, you know, we'll be denied having our public hearings again, so.
So would these be like this or over the telephone, or would they be at the hall?
Nope, they would be remote, in the virtual, yep.
That still makes it very difficult for public, but yeah, we gotta do something.
Right. But actually, you know, when you look at it, it gives the public quite a bit of latitude for comment and participation, so. Because they have the ability to be on the Zoom application, and they have the ability to call in, and they have the ability to provide written comment, so. And we've created a public hearing page on the city's website. So if you go there, you can see all the information leading into the public hearings.
Okay.
Do we have a button?
Yep.
Okay. So on the web page, the home page, there's an actual button there that will give you access into that public hearing information.
I mean, we'll still have the ability to communicate with you the way we are today, right? You're talking about the public will have an opportunity through the website. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so on the 11th, it'll just be another workshop meeting. We will go through and refresh ourselves with the doc items coming forward. And then on the 18th, that will be our first public hearing. And the items that will be on that hearing, and this will be all advertised, there'll be postcards that are sent out citywide to tell of these dates and what the items are. So on the 18th, the items that we'll go over are the zoning changes. So that's planning number 672. The rezone of the Arlington Business Park, planning number 666. And then a non-docket item is there was a basically a Scrivener's error on the permissible use table that we need to correct. And we'll just have that as part of our process, so. The second hearing will be on the 25th. And at that hearing, we will hear the corner 9 properties rezone, planning number 667. Lot 19 LLC rezone, planning number 663. I know what the other two are. In the non-docket items will be the emergency rezones you've just heard. So National Foods rezone, planning number 721. And the North Point rezone, planning number 729.
And Mark, those will, all 4 of these will be on the 25th meeting.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And then on the September 1st meeting, we will be hearing the 31st Avenue rezone, planning number 662. The rezone of 31st Avenue, and so there's multiple parties to that one. That's planning number 665. I think that is it.
Did you say York? You said 665.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what I meant to say.
Let's say York.
Yeah, because that's 31st, that was
Yeah.
York. So that was a York property. Number 665. So it's a city-owned property. So I asked for your indulgence in the month of August. A lot of heavy lifting to go on. We'll try and be lighter in the month of September.
And also, Mark, if I may say, that the city council is in recess during the month of August. So what we're, through my conversations with Mark, it looks as though what we're trying to do also is to, prepare everything prior to them returning so that we can get everything in front of the city council as soon as possible, as so that they can make determinations as quickly as they can, pretty much for the same reasons as what I hear Mark saying, is that, we've had a lot of these applicants have been waiting and waiting for the public hearing process to happen. And also with the chance that, if we end up going backwards in our ability to hold public hearings, that we can go ahead and get these accomplished in a timely fashion.
Correct, thank you.
So if there were any questions or comments or anything about the items that Mark had just talked about, I'm going to go ahead and just open it up for everybody instead of going through each person one at a time. No questions or comments? Okay. That made that simple for me. Go
Sorry.
ahead, Jan, if you have something.
So I'm looking on the webpage and there's public hearings on the 18th at 2 o'clock that look like they're planning issues. I was just wondering, that doesn't involve planning commission? Pilchuck Village?
Pilchuck Village, that's a hearing, yeah, that's with the hearing examiner.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I'm willing to commit, whatever it takes.
Great, thank you.
And I'll do my best to be here too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one other thing before we go or adjourn, there might be an opportunity for some of the newer members of the commission to have meetings with some of the past or current commissioners, so that this kind of brings in an opportunity to bring context to what we're doing here going into the future. So if there is a chance that you have any questions, or if you have an opportunity, please think about it carefully. And if you take that opportunity, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. That's definitely, if they're, we just have to be careful about the numbers that we have, but we can provide for a meeting at our facility in order to be able to discuss these items.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments this evening? We got a lot done today.
We certainly did.
So can I just clarify then? Did we are committing then to meet that on all of those days that they're the first, right? On Tuesdays
Or
they're the first? Right,
Yeah.
okay. And then if available
Thanks.
for some additional training of sorts to make sure. I would like to learn more. So anything I can take on to learn more, whatever suggested reading or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Yvonne, can we meet up on phone and arrange for a time for that?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. I'll be calling you later today.
Okay.
So I just want to make it clear that we are meeting next Tuesday also. That'll be a workshop.
Correct.
And so we'll have a there's a proposed design review item coming forward, whether they get their submittal in or not. If it doesn't come forward, we won't have the design review, but then we'll be able to go through and revisit all of the docket items. So we'll be able to have a question and answer session for that workshop. Sound good?
Sounds good.
That would be great.
Appreciate your cooperation.
All right. If there is anything further going on, then the chair requests a motion for adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right.